Hey, what's up, Sophia? Can you hear me? What
Yes, sir. I hear you loud and clear. What up?
up, man? I'm trying to get my voice back, man. It's been hoarse all week. So, just trying to recover from this bronchitis or pneumonia, rather. And,
Yeah, man. I know you've been going through it.
yeah, my I haven't been touching it till just now for like a week or so, feels like. And, uh, and so everything's just crashing and unmaintained and it's really weird.
Man.
So we're having a little technical difficulties. So, but we finally got it up and going. Anyways, we're gonna talk about that debate you did last week with Al Harding, and it turned out,
Oh,
man,
Lord.
he just kind of like you know kind of like turned himself into a pretzel. Thank you, Logan says, "Oh yeah, hope you're properly on the road to recovery." I think I am. I'm feeling a lot better. It's up and down, and sometimes I feel like I'm better, and then some days I'm down. So it's really a strange kind of. I've never had this kind of an illness before, but then again, I'm getting old, so maybe that's just part of being old these days.
Nah, it's
But
probably just a combination of things, stress and allergies, and
yeah,
man, the weather's
humidity.
changing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Never drink and debate. That's right, man. That's what Al taught us.
I
That
mean,
guy.
Al can't be not, Al can't not drink because that's just Al.
Yeah, he's not taking accountability, and that's
Isn't
sad.
that what he said? I do.
Right? And he said because you're poor, it's a bad character flaw. Because of being poor is a bad character flaw. Like, what is being poor, anyways? And then he says, well, we're going to get into it. There's so many things I want to jump into. So we're going to kind of like take it from the time that the debate kicked off, and we'll dissect it. And in the live chat, we can participate. Maybe we can put together a little poll to see who you thought really won the debate. Also, too, I need to put a join link in here in case you want to jump on stage with us. So I'm going to put it right here in the live chat. So if you want to participate on stage, you're more than welcome. And in the meantime, let's hear how this whole thing got started. So I'm going to go ahead and play it now. Here we go. He needs their day in court. And so I think me and Sophia were talking to people about that, saying, yeah, I understand what you're saying, but there's a lot of factors involved in it that might talk about the degree at the guy, or something, or if it. Oh shoot.
Well,
By the way, we were talking about the Austin Metcalf um, situation, the killing. Just to give us
right.
context, I should probably roll it back because I'm like, people are probably like, "What the hell are y'all talking about?"
Well, I mean, we don't got to go through all of it
Yeah,
because his point was that whenever a white person commits a crime, it's all over the news, right?
right.
And whenever a black person commits a crime, it isn't. And that's the point he never actually gave me the chance to refute because he just kept talking over me and moving the goalpost and saying I wasn't answering, and I know everyone saw that. So I could just go over that part real quick if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead. And I still want to play some of what he says later on because nothing's. I don't want anyone coming back saying, "Yeah, that's what y'all say," but you didn't bother to play the video because we really didn't say it. Because
Right,
that's what
right.
because Al's
I
already
mean, go
told
ahead.
me.
You could go ahead and
Uh,
play it.
because Al, he's already talking about, yeah, you're not gonna really play the video though. You're just gonna comment on it.
Yeah, go ahead and play it then. We just
So I'm
gotta
like,
suffer through his voice all over again.
I know, but we'll let the audience decide whether he's a racist or if he had a good point. But here we go.
Weird.
Yeah,
You
but I'm
come
gonna tell
back to
you.
it you come back the next day and it's like, whoa, you're different.
Anthony situation and that that white dude he got killed, the white kid, rest in peace. Um, over that whole situation, which I'm pretty sure the you know Carmelo is guilty. I think it's going to end up obviously he's being guilty, but he just needs his day in court, just like anybody else. But at the time that it was like there was a lot of division. There was a lot of people saying, "No, just send his butt straight to jail, man. What's there to go to court about?" But that's not very. That's not how it works, though. Like everybody needs their day in court, and so I think me and Sophia were talking to people about that, saying, "Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but there's a lot of factors involved in it that might talk about the degree at which he murdered the guy, or something, or if it was self-defense, or we didn't have the whole story. Still don't really. It's kind of an
We
assumption.
we
It
do
is an
now, but
well, at the
Okay,
time,
but
it was an
yeah,
assumption that black kids, are violent, they're aggressive. It was kind of just assumed that, yeah, the black kid probably just unprovoked and killed
yeah.
the white
So
boy.
where does that reputation come from?
Yeah.
okay,
So that
Al, hold on. What I want to address is, did you say that you would like to debate me on the Carmelo Anthony topic because you'd like to see what I would say to defend him now, since that's what I love to do? So I want to ask you, when have you ever heard me or seen me defend him?
Actually, that's you don't need to presuppose things, hon. Oh, I actually wanted to ask you what the hell's wrong with that boy's spirit, since you're the
so he said
Like
you're
he just went past
presupposing.
that shit as always.
Yeah, so that's the first dodge right there that I noticed. Um he said you're presupposing it when it's right there on video that he said that exact thing because you're responding to that,
Right.
you
I was
know.
gonna give him an answer because that's what he said I did, right? He said I defended Carmelo Anthony.
Right, exactly. And that was the basis of the whole debate. So it's kind of weird he would just, bypass the
That
whole
was
question. So he's
that was
actually
his
the
way of
one.
challenging me.
Yeah, he's saying that you're the one dodging all the questions, and he's the first one dodging the very first thing. So, anyways, let me hear what your response was to that, because he turned around and asked another question about spirituality.
spiritualist.
What's wrong with that boy's spirit?
But
With my
okay,
what?
Oh,
yeah,
What?
I wanted to get you're the spiritualist type person, and also I wanted to ask you what the hell's wrong with that boy's spirit.
That boy spirit?
Yeah,
You mean Carmelo?
yeah.
How would I know? I don't know the boy. I haven't even never really seen him. All I saw was a picture, which after doing some research, I found out that the little bruise that's under his eye was actually from getting hit in the eye. So he actually
Mhm.
did have a slight injury, and there was probably a physical altercation. Hold
Okay,
on, my
that's
dog's
not
barking.
answering my question, but
so you did answer his question. You said he didn't know about his spirit.
I said I don't know the boy, so I don't know what's wrong with his spirit. I don't know
Right,
the boy, but what he's trying to do is he's already convicted him and found him guilty, so he wants to know what's wrong with that boy's spirit based on his uh crime act. But
right.
we don't know yet for certain whether or not it was self-defense or not. We don't really know that for certain because we don't really know what led up to it. We only have small bits and pieces. And that the whole point I was making to him is I never once defended Carmelo's actions because I don't know the full extent of his actions. I do know that he did cause the death of the other boy, Austin Metcalf, and I do know that he admitted to being the one who did it. So he did stab him. We know that. That's
Right.
not what is in question. What's in question is did he do it out of self-defense or not? And the thing is, what I am defending is his right to a due process and fair trial. So that's it. He
Right.
has a right to, get due process. Simple as that.
Yeah, I'm just not sure what his spiritual beliefs have anything to do with it, and I'm or what he means by spirit. What
Well,
his
what he's trying to say is he's trying to he's trying to say the boy has a fucked up spirit for being a murderer. But like
right.
I said, that's based on him already convicting him. And I keep trying to tell people who are coming with this rhetoric, the times of lynching people and lynch mobs is over. We
Absolutely.
get due process. I don't give a fuck what your skin color is. So who
Absolutely.
are you? Who are you to convict him before he has due process?
Right. And then, and I think after you answered, you kind of dropped off, and we were kind of going to fact check something. So I wanted to pick it up at that point. Let me just
Well,
back up
it
here.
was the thing about the other kid because I was gonna disprove his point about only white people being all over the news when they commit a crime. And I was going to show him that in that particular case, the white kid killed a Hispanic kid. He never
Right.
did let me reiterate on that.
Yeah, of course. So here it is. Let me go ahead and play it so he doesn't say we're lying on him. Hold on.
Person does any little slightest offense,
Yeah,
it's
there it is.
national
No,
goddamn.
that's just because the majority believes something, does that mean it's true? At one point,
I
the majority, hold up, I'll let you talk.
only said half.
At one point, half of the country believed in slavery and thought that was okay. Doesn't mean it was. So my is you have algorithms that's spewing information, and most people are not fact checking that information, but it appeals to your emotions. So what was happening with that case? Break it to you, but shit like this happens every fucking day. It
Oh
happens
yeah.
every. As a matter of fact, there was a case just like to that case where it actually was a white kid that killed a Hispanic boy in the bathroom and set it up and told him to come meet him and immediately stabbed him and killed him. And that boy got off. So it's like no one dragged that story all over the place and said white boy bad, white boy bad. So my whole issue with the
Dude,
shit was
if a white person does any little slightest offense, it's national
no,
goddamn news.
that's your
Yeah,
emotions talking. That's your emotions talking because
no,
that
that's fact talking.
that
No,
how
we're
is
not
that
talk.
fact?
I don't talk from emotion.
How is it?
Don't try to
It, it
project on
is.
me.
It is your
No,
emotions
it's not.
because it is your
What's his
emotions
name?
because it's not a fact.
You you
Because
heard about it.
hold
I'll
up,
look it up right now and I'll put it in the chat so everybody else can. What's the white kid's name?
But he never
Uh,
did.
something Metcalf. Damn, I can't
no,
remember.
Austin
no,
Metcalf.
Austin Metcalf. Yeah, something like that.
no,
That was
it's
another
different
one
case.
because I know
It's a
what Austin Metcalf did.
Hmm.
different
Are you
case.
referring to the Anthony case, right? Or are you
No,
talking about or the one she's referring to?
No, the one that Sophia is referring to, baiting some dude into a bathroom and
Oh yeah.
killing him.
and
Because every time a white person even says the N word and it's on tape, it's a national story. And that's the whole thing. What I'm trying to get at here is why is this race baiting, horse shit? Why is it so one sided? And why is the other side so covered up? Oh, he's innocent.
Well,
Oh,
he's white, and if he's white, he's got to be guilty, right?
Well, apparently so.
No, I know what
That's
you
a
mean.
societal.
As
It's
far
a,
as I see it, there's a lot of there's a lot of virtue signaling going around and political correctness, and we all
yeah,
know how that plays out. I think Sophia would agree with you on that, but just sticking to the facts, I think that's what she's really getting at.
sure. Well, I mean, we're not on the jury, so we can't talk about the facts. That's why I wanted to talk about like the spiritual aspects and why people, come up with such devoted, you know, assertions about this stuff.
I think it has nothing to do with spirituality. I think people have all these opinions because they're biased. You know, they're either biased for the black guy or the white guy, or they're trying to play neutral. And that's what I try to do. I try to be neutral and to say, hey, he deserves his day in court. My opinion, he's probably guilty of murder. What degree, I don't know. Depends on what comes out of the case.
Yeah, we can agree on
Or
that.
it may somehow just be self defense, but that my gut feeling tells me that's not what happened. But I may be wrong. So that's the difference. The way we approach it, you can approach it in an objective, neutral way, or you
Well,
can
where do
approach
all
it with the idea of, well, he murdered the kid. That's the fact. The fact is, a kid died at the hands of the other kid, and
where
that's
do all
all we
these?
need to know. That's all we need
Okay,
to know.
oh, okay, that's fair enough. But where does all this societal destruction come from, and why is there all this discourse?
So he just ignored the point that I was trying to make, which was,
Yep.
let's just be objective, look at the facts. I kind of granted him, yeah, there's a lot of political correctness going around. In my opinion, I see that, because you've got the liberal media and extreme far left people that promote a narrative, but so does the right. So does Fox News. So let's just be objective. Let's disassociate from all the, headlines and the emotionalism. But it sounds like he just feeds into that. And that's his whole argument, is based on the Fox News narrative. And so
And
why can't
also,
we just look at it that
also,
way?
also, he went completely past the whole thing with Case and Allison, which is the
Right.
name of the other kid. And just for anyone who doesn't know what happened with that case, in short, there was a prom and there were two Hispanic brothers, and one of the brothers was dating a girl, and Case and Allison went to the prom and I guess tried to flirt or something with the girl, and then they got into a territorial fight over the girl,
Hmm.
and the Case and Allison threatened the Hispanic kid, and told him, come meet me, we can fight, I'll whoop your ass, type shit. And then they were supposed to meet up in the woods or something, and they didn't want to go there or didn't want to go to the woods. And then they said, oh, we'll do it at school. And it was to take place in the school's bathroom. And so Case and Allison and the Hispanic kid knew that it was going to go down there. And I believe the Hispanic kids went in there first. And Case and Allison knew that they were in there, and he went in there. And so not only did he go in there, he went to school carrying a knife, and knew that he was bringing that knife to a fight that he practically arranged. You know what I mean? And it seems like that's more premeditated, than what happened in the Carmelo Anthony case,
Uh huh.
because these two boys knew each other. They said they got into it prior. They set up a fight, and they both were aware that the fight was going to happen, and then he goes there with a knife to the
Right.
fight. So anyway, the Hispanic boy threw the first punch. As soon as he landed that first punch, Case and Allison stabbed him 4 fucking times, like
Wow.
literally stabbed him to death, and he got a much lesser charge. He didn't get charged with first degree, and he also didn't get sentenced with first degree. He ended up getting charged with a much more reduced charge of reckless endangerment or reckless homicide or something like that. Something to the fact that his reckless behavior accidentally led to the death of another. And that's what he got. He didn't even get manslaughter.
Right.
So that was not all over the news. So that refutes Al's point that whenever a white person commits a crime, it's all over the news. And when a black person does, it isn't. I mean, even that is stupid to say when we got Carmelo, the black kid who killed a white boy, all over the news for the last 3 months. Yeah, like, where is he?
Yeah.
What is he talking about? So
Exactly.
that's all I was trying to get in that day on that show, and it
Hmm.
never I never really got was able to put that out there.
Yeah. I mean, he avoided the whole thing because he knew he would have got cooked on it. So he wanted to change topic. So here's the other part here I wanted to check out.
Years around here. So what are you talking about here, or are you talking about Chicago? Do you think that most black people live in Chicago? Do you really think that?
Why are you trying to go down rabbit holes and try to spin off the
It's not a
topic?
Robin. No, you
Focus
need to
on the
listen.
topic at hand.
I'm
No, I'm not
Let
going
me
to
stop it
listen
focused.
to
real
you
quick.
going down a rabbit hole. You need to
It's not
focus.
a rabbit hole. It's not a rabbit hole. You're trying to say that bullshit. Oh, 53, 13%, blah, 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 blah. Most murders are committed by blacks, blah, 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 blah.
I asked you
Yeah,
a simple question.
by
Why? And this is a
a
legitimate
specific,
question.
a
Why
specific
is the
group.
black community, why is
Sorry,
not every murder
sorry,
reported every
sorry,
day?
sorry. First of all, you're talking about a
You're not going to
specific,
out loud me, honey.
you're talking about a specific group of black
Scott,
people
either you
that are
control this
that are
woman and tell
that
her we're
are
going to have a
that are
back and forth exchange,
that
or I'm
are
just
in
going to go a
specific.
shit bag on her.
I thought he said that he didn't get emotional. He couldn't let you finish
And he was gonna
your
put a shit bag on me. Here's the thing: I was trying to keep him focused. I wasn't gonna just let him run down his own rabbit hole because I wasn't running down no rabbit hole. I was letting him know that these statistics, these FBI statistics that are constantly being misused, it's just a racist dog whistle, is what it is. Those statistics do not reflect the shit that he says it does, and that was my whole point. And he just wouldn't stick with that point because once you break it down, you know, the logic refutes how racist people use these statistics, and that's why he didn't want to let me stay on that point. And he was saying I'm over talking him and all of that. But no, you trying to over talk me. You're trying to dismiss what I'm trying to say. You're telling me I'm going down a rabbit hole and I'm not staying focused, even though you're the one who's trying to bypass the point. You know what I'm saying?
exactly. And Logan, from the Uncarved Block says, guarantee Al wouldn't call her honey like that to her face. Of course not. And just to let everybody know, Al is not welcome on the stage in this show anymore, just because of his over emotional and lack of conversational sophistication. He doesn't want to really engage with people. It's very clear to see that. And he always ends up saying a lot of hateful and stupid remarks. And I just don't want to invite that kind of stuff. I don't want to platform that kind of stuff. I do know that I've always said that this show is about letting people air their differences. Like, you can have your own opinion and we can discuss it. But someone like him is not willing to discuss it, but simply change the topic, run from it, project his emotionalism out on Sophia, and he's just kind of a douchebag in my opinion. And I've known him for a while. I've put up with a lot of his bullshit on this show just because of trying to be to give everybody a chance. But enough is enough, man. And I hope everybody understands that I have to have a limit. And me and Sophia spoke about it, and Sophia really doesn't want him on the show either. And she's half of the show, so I'm definitely not going to entertain that kind of crap. But anyways, we have Caleb on the stage. How's it going, Caleb?
Hey,
Good.
Caleb.
Hey guys, just sipping my coffee, enjoying the takedown that you
Yeah,
guys are doing.
he is on a parade of L's right now.
What do you think about this guy, Al, Caleb?
Well, I didn't, to go off what you said. It's like, the these people will throw out those statistics, the 50-25 or whatever that statistic is, and it's like, all right, well, let's talk about it then. But then they don't want to talk about it because actually getting
Exactly.
into the details of it just blows their argument out of the water.
Facts don't matter for them.
Yep.
I had a timestamp where he actually exposed that directly in his own words, and I wanted to really highlight that. Hopefully, I can find it by sifting through this video.
I mean, I forget the study, but it's like, it's like both whites and black Americans admit to using and selling illicit drugs at similar rates, yet it's black Americans who are vastly more likely to go to prison for the same offense. And it's like,
Oh
I
yeah,
wonder why
Yeah,
that is.
yeah.
and the thing about it is, like I was trying to tell him, it's 53 13. That's what they always say.
Mhm.
That we're only 13% of the population, yet we commit 53% of the murder crimes. And so the problem about that is that's an untrue statement, because the 53% does not actually represent convictions. Those are just initial arrests.
Mhm.
And you can't really retrieve that data until after convictions. And even then, not every conviction is publicly accessible. So, with that being said, we do not have a straightforward statistic that gives us a clear oversight of who commits the most crimes. That's literally not out there. Now, we can deduct some information based on like exonerations, because those are public.
Mhm.
And what we will find is that I think 2 or 3 times more black people are falsely convicted. And we actually can find that information. And see,
Mhm.
he never even let me go in that direction. And there's a reason for that, because he's just spewing propaganda that appeals to his own bias. And that's what we're trying to show here.
Mhm.
Exactly. Well, I'm gonna keep it going here, and I'm gonna get me a cup of coffee. It'll probably help my throat as well. Let me get this going for y'all. Well, let's do
You
this.
go
Let's
ahead, go ahead,
let
man.
Sophia.
Cop out.
No, Sophia. Let Sophia finish what she had to say first, and
Why
then you
can't
go
I say
ahead.
what I
And
gotta
then
say? Because I'm a woman and black? Is that your problem? You want me to shut
No,
the
your
fuck up?
problem is you don't focus on the subject at hand.
I am. I'm answering your question directly.
yeah, I think she
You're
was though, Al.
you're
For,
making it
for real.
you're
Not at
making it
all.
seem you're making it seem like all black people are the same way in every place in the United States. But where the murders happen mostly is important. A lot of black people leave. A lot of black people leave Chicago and places like that. A lot of black people don't want to be there. You don't see them murdering and shooting up people in other places, though. They're living right next door to you like a normal person doing normal shit. So what are you talking about?
Is it my turn yet?
Man, can you talk without being facetious and shit?
I'm meeting your energy, honey. So,
No,
okay, is it
because
my
you
turn yet?
sitting here and
Yeah.
talking to a
See,
black
there
woman
you
and
go.
saying
Okay,
y'all
there
this
you
and
go.
y'all that.
Shut up for a minute.
You say all that shit behind the
Here you
keyboard.
go. Here you go. Be quiet.
I
Go ahead,
don't
Al.
Act like
Al,
a
go ahead.
woman and be quiet for a woman for one moment.
stop stop
Okay.
for a
Now
woman.
I've asked
Shut
you
the
two
fuck up, nigga.
questions. Shut the fuck up. I've asked
You
you
God.
two
shut the fuck up.
questions, and all
There
you've
you
done
go.
is
Oh my
not
God.
answer any of them. You've given some
I'm gonna
blah
whoop
blah
your ass
side
with my
ass
left hand,
excuse.
nigga.
All right, let's go
You
back on
can't
track.
afford
So Al,
to come where I'm at.
so
So
what's the
as I
question?
was saying, that's two questions now that you've avoided. Now, all I said on my
How
last
to
question
avoid it?
was my last question was actually a very poignant topic to support the black community.
Okay,
Okay.
what? I'm gonna write it
There
down.
are an unbelievable amount of
I don't need
murders
your
that
support.
happen. All shut up for a minute. Do you know what a mute button is? You have no composure. This is why nobody listens
Yeah,
to you.
right. Yeah,
Shut
right.
up.
Look at you. Look at you falling
I
apart,
shut
man.
up and let you just have 10 minutes. So shut the fuck up and give me two.
All right, let's go ahead and let Al talk, man. Go ahead, Al.
All
I'm gonna
right,
write
so here we.
write down. Say your question because I'm gonna write it down so I make sure we all stay on track.
My last question from 15 minutes ago is pointing out that there are a lot of homicides in the black community that go unreported every day because it's just status quo.
God,
Now,
can
if
Yeah.
you
you would have
pause
let
that real
me
quick?
Yep.
continue on that,
Yeah. Go right ahead.
I wanted to make a point to that while we were on the show, and I never got to say that. He's talking about black on black crime. Why the fuck do he care? It's not black people going around killing white people. It's black on black crime. So, with that being said, that's actually normal for every race to mostly kill each other. That's
Right.
statistically true for every race. Just wanted to throw that out there.
It's a really
Mhm.
good point. Why do you think that people like Al love to point out black on black crime, and then at the same time they're like, stop asking us for help. It's y'all's problem, but at the same time, look at your problem. It's stupid, and I'm tired of it. And yet, it's supposed to be a situation where I'm on an island. I don't have to worry about it. It's it. What is the real? Isn't that just a way of throwing stones at other groups? More identity politics.
Well, I happen to know him on a personal level and things that he's disclosed about himself to me.
Mm, yeah.
And his hatred for black people, because that's what it is,
Hmm.
literally stems from the fact that his mother dated a black man. And she also disowned L. And
Wow.
he also had an absent father who never gave a shit about him. And it was actually a black family who ended up helping him on his feet. And I happen to know that he did some really fucked up shit to that family. And he's just haunted by his own guilt. And that's all that is
Yeah.
for what he did to that black family that helped him. And he never forgave his mom for disowning him and marrying a black man.
Mhm.
That's your yeah.
Shit got
It make
shit got nothing to do with reality and what's really going on in the world. It has all to do with his own internalized
experience.
trauma and yeah, experience and all of that.
Yeah. It's just another way of consciousness expressing itself in this way through an asshole.
Yeah.
Well, it's the part of consciousness that is still very unconscious. I would say
Hmm.
he's a very unconscious being. He's not aware of why he does what he does. He just kind of just operates on his emotions.
Right. Yeah. And that's what we all have to be on guard about is that we can either operate based on our perceptions, which are always going to be misleading and not very, you know, um, solid, or we can actually think about informed perspectives on the world and try to be, more interest. I don't know the word. I'm not thinking really very well today because of my illness, but
I just
Uh,
think that human beings need to transcend that whole
uh,
yeah.
racial
mhm.
division. It
You
doesn't
mean
matter what your skin color is.
yeah. Were you looking for the word introspective?
Well, I was about to say introspective, but I thought that might be a terrible word in this case because you're looking outside at the world. Well, I guess in a way you're right. Introspective might be an applicable word because really your perceptions are based on your internal, feelings. And if you don't really introspect or explore that, you'll never really understand why you feel certain things about certain things.
Well, that's what consciousness is all about. It's about introspection. That's what my motto is about. It's self observation. Once
Right.
you lose the ability to observe yourself, that's when you know can't really correct yourself or advance yourself or anything because you're not even aware of your own actions, your own thoughts. You know what I'm saying? You have to have introspection. It's all
Yeah, that's
about
true.
observing, consciousness observing itself.
Yeah, going within. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, how long have we known now with science that the color of your skin just depends on where on Earth you were born, like closer or farther away from the equator, and
Right.
white people are
Exactly.
still arguing about IQ tests.
Like what? That is so crazy, man. It's like this is what I mean about even spirituality, whether you're an atheist or not, is that you can really find value and meaning in this non-duality, because this dualistic dichotomous thinking is what really causes this kind of disease, where we always look at the other and we always do comparisons. And I mean, on one level, yeah, we have to do it. It's the ego has to survive. We have to do certain things to make sense of the world and survive this world and what have you. But it's also kind of deeper to look at what binds us together. We're all human beings. We're all beings. We're all connected to the whole planet, and I don't know if you this seems to me, if you take that serious enough, you can avoid these sort of traps of being a racist and things like that. They kind of like those sort of things dissolve away naturally. But
Well, I guess it comes from like a long, uh, a long time of programming and just believing that you're somehow superior, having
yeah,
a superiority complex or something, and just a lot of people
Yeah.
just
Well,
rather stay in the mind frame that they're in because they don't want to make the changes because it's too uncomfortable. Al feels comfortable with the things that he believes because that gives him an excuse to do what he does. And it's easier to keep doing that than really saying, you know what, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm looking at this differently. But then he also has to make changes to himself. And for some people, that's just too hard to do. It's too uncomfortable.
yeah. Well, part of Al's issue though is that whole trying to tie moral character to being poor,
yeah, I wanted to
like
get into that. That's what I was trying to find
Yeah,
that
that was
part in this
just so
video.
heavy.
That's really a juicy one. And this is what Al doesn't understand. Al always says, he says this every time he's on the show and on the stage. He says, "Yeah, well, I'm an atheist too, but I don't really have beliefs." That's what he always says. I don't really have beliefs. I just have understandings about objective reality. I don't need beliefs. But then everything he's saying is an obvious belief. Like he's believing in this sort of racist narrative, all these things. It's like Sophia, you just said, he gives him an excuse to dig his heels into his belief, all that stuff, playing the blame game and what have you. And it is not helpful. Even if everything he said was true, how is it helpful? I have no idea, but let me see if I can find that part. It may be coming up here.
Do you think that's a little it's so normalized at this point that that's where all these stereotypes come from? Or are we going to put the boxing gloves back on?
Um, no, I don't agree with you
Why is that? Go ahead.
Mhm.
because it's a class issue. It's not a race issue. That's why, first and foremost.
Mm,
And not only that, when you talk about the 13%, you're leaving out the fact that those are arrests. Those statistics only reflect arrests. Those statistics do not reflect convictions. With that being said, we also know that people who live in poverty, who can't afford lawyers, like we talked about earlier, a lot of times they take plea deals even if they're not guilty. So those statistics are not telling us a whole lot, okay? They're definitely not saying that 53% of the black community are murderers. That's not what those statistics mean.
Here
And I
comes the
will
Dodge.
challenge anybody that's watching right fucking now to tell me that's not true.
Well, I'll agree with you being a white person because I wish I was like a black person and knew it was easier to take a plea when I caught a charge. But, well, I
But
was a
what if you
That
dumbass.
did?
was crazy.
What if you didn't do it though?
Well, I didn't do it. But, anyways,
You think that doesn't happen to black people because we're black and we just automatically guilty? You don't think that innocent black people go to prison? That's really
it
what you think?
happens to everybody that's poor. So you're right on the class issue. But apparently, my second question's not going to get answered either.
Can you stop
So,
that real quick before he
What's
goes
the
I've
to the
asked
second
three.
question?
Why don't you ask one?
Wow.
I want y'all to know how he did that. He is making the point that, yeah, right, you're not guilty. Yeah. I wish I was that kind of person that could just easily get a plea deal. So, in other words, he always convicts a black person before they're even proven to be guilty. That's literally how he is. But then he wants to turn around and say, yeah, but that happens to all black people, including white people that are poor. But he's the one who's saying at the same time, no, if you're black, you're guilty.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, clearly. That's it. That's his messaging, right? That's exactly what he's trying to promote, which is why I don't want him on my fucking show anymore.
What's the
Well, she
second
answered the
question?
question. I have it in the private chat. Her answer was
You,
no.
it was not a closed-ended question.
What's
So
the
Well,
that's
question
not
it
an
again?
was
answer.
the statement he made was lot of homicides in the black community. Why is it normalized, or is it normalized in your opinion?
Okay,
And you
and then
said no.
I'm gonna
You
say to
said
that
no because
again.
it was. Yeah, go ahead.
When you say the black community, you're saying all black people in America. Not everyone in the black community represents the black community. Do you want to be lumped in with let's say Nazis? Do you want to be lumped in with what are those weirdo religious people that be going around knocking on your door and shit? I mean, there are different groups of people in any race. So it's not the black community. You know what I'm saying? It's in specific
No,
regions.
I agree with
And
you.
you
There's
and
only
usually
6%
and you
black people here, and they all
and you
behave here.
and usually it is communities that are riddled with poverty and gang activity.
So he actually agreed with you right there. Notice that
But that's
he
why
said that
but
he
that's why I'm
said that.
saying he doesn't make any sense
Yeah,
because
it's
he
pretzel
agrees with
logic.
me and then turns right back around and says and talks about the stereotypes and that those stereotypes exist for a reason and that people wouldn't assume your guilt as a black person if you didn't create that stereotype. So that's what he says on one hand, and then on the other hand he says, yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
What?
Uh,
History, and yet
Is
have
that right?
achieved so little.
hold on.
So
Here we go.
for about a year. But guess what? I went to work every day. Hmm.
Yeah.
I'm
And
gonna
so
make some more assumptions.
black people don't work.
I'm not talking about that. I'm asking you a simple question. Is this a particular lifestyle that a certain demographic loves to live in?
Certain
We all
Loves to
want the
live
high
in.
life, but go ahead.
I can't answer that question because it's based on a false premise.
How is it based on a false premise when there's objective numbers?
Because you're making this generalized bullshit statement again that all black
All right.
people love to live
Scott,
in this
you're the
certain way.
moderator. You're the one on the computer. Go ahead and pull up the numbers. What's the poverty rate per demographic?
Okay,
And
I'll check it out.
like I said, okay, you've got one group of people that have been given more opportunity than any group in human history and yet
Is
have
that right?
achieved so little. So why is that? Oh, goddamn, is it right?
Is that right?
That's a good point. That's the point I wanted to bring up. So this is a major goof on his part because he has no he had you know if you're going to make a statement like that, it seems like you should really have your facts, especially if you're going to make it so strong. You know, he it's like a given. Oh, I'm definitely this is objectively true, right? And then when I pulled the
Yeah,
numbers up, he
where's
didn't want to
his
consider it.
right? No, I hear you. Like, where's his proof of that? Um, the trillions and trillions of dollars. That's historically fucking false.
Where are those trillions?
Hmm.
I remember Caleb was asking like that. Like, can we go back and get into this trillions? Because he was still, I still don't remember ever reading about that. And he never wanted to answer that.
Yeah, because I mean, we can get into study after study. It's like
Hmm.
they're like I I'll always bring this discussion back to institutional racism and how that still affects us. And I, it's like I'm not going to talk out my ass. I can bring the receipts. It's like
Yep.
you can't have like hundreds of years of slavery and then like decades of Jim Crow law, and then you have the civil rights movement and be like, oh well, you know, you if you fail at now, well, that's on you. It's like, well,
Oh
hold on
yeah.
a minute.
Well, that's what
What
if
I
we
was
get
trying to
when
tell
we
him, I was trying to tell him about the damage, the generational damage, and the generational
right.
Mhm.
trauma. And I was trying to suggest that, it's not only about money and reparations, but also like the psychological cleanup and recovery and healing,
Yeah,
and so
yeah, yeah.
there's just a lot involved. It's just more nuanced than what he's
Yeah,
trying to say.
because I mean, like, you got to think what it does to someone when you're a black veteran, or a soldier who's fighting for his country in World War II, only to come back and be like, oh well, you can't have the GI Bill because you're black. Like, like what that tells you how much your country cares about you.
Well, yeah, my
Yeah.
dad used to be mad all the time. My dad's like, he went to the Marines. He was really wanting to go to the Vietnam War to fight for his country. At the time, he thought it was a good thing to do. He's just a young kid. Now he changed his mind on that. He didn't think the Vietnam War was a legitimate war, but at the time he did, and it was mainly because he wanted to be like his dad. His dad served in World War II and was a war hero, and so my dad wanted to follow in his dad's footsteps and fight in a war to defend his country. But yet, when he comes back home, my mom still has to ride on the back of the bus. My mom had to drink out of a separate water fountain, all of this kind of stuff because she was colored. She was considered a colored girl. And he didn't like that. He's like, why should I go and put my life at risk for this country, yet my wife has to drink in a separate water fountain than me? Like,
Yeah,
that's
that's
very real
pretty
shit.
fucked
That's
up.
that's some real shit. Like when they took the city bus, he couldn't sit with my mom. My mom had to sit on the back of the bus, and he had to sit on the front. He couldn't sit with his own wife, man, over some dumb bullshit.
Mhm.
And that's in my family, and that's why this subject affects me in a kind of way because I grew up hearing all
And
these
it's still
stories and saw
relevant.
it, and it's very relevant.
Mhm.
Of course,
And it's
it's
not
just
that we're
stupid,
trying to dwell in the past. We're not saying
right?
we want to dwell in the past, but these things have to keep being addressed because you can't just pretend it didn't happen either.
Yeah. It
You know,
it
and that's why I don't want Al on my show ever again. Like he knows that my children are black too, and yet you're sitting here talking all that shit like I'm just supposed to agree with you. Like, do you understand what's
That's what I
the
was trying to tell him. I'm like, you're sitting here talking to a black woman and you're over here saying y'all this and y'all that, and I'm supposed to just sit here and take it. Because
right?
why? Because you're Al Harding and you're white or drunk or whatever, or independently wealthy, which is all a bunch of bullshit because it's all in his own language and he gives it away. I worked, past tense. and I earned every goddamn penny of it. And guess what? Al is younger than me, and I'm 46. Now, why the fuck you ain't working? Not now. Well, because you fucking tearing your ass up with alcohol, and you're a full-blown alcoholic, so it's okay for your ass to leech off the system, though, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Never applies to them. But if he was black, oh, he'd be a piece of shit for it. You know.
Yeah.
Anyways.
If I don't, I'm a single mom, and I don't even get welfare. Never. Like I got
Well,
TANF twice.
well, the current government hates single mothers, so yeah, you're not going to get
Oh yeah, they hate us. They do. As a
They're at
matter of fact,
war.
they said we're expired. We don't even deserve to have anything after having kids. We are
anything.
expired, old news. We are just a disgrace to society, and all the children we raise are disgraces to fucking society. And yeah, we just suck. We suck big time.
Mm-hmm.
How
Because
What's
many
we're
what
out
we
here
trillions of
opening
dollars has
our
been
legs. And
spent on any other group that's achieved so little?
what did he say?
He said we. He says why are they
yeah, I
the
agree.
group didn't
He's playing into identity politics.
he said they're the biggest, they're the group that's been given the most in history and achieved very little.
Sure, Bob.
You
Is
know.
that why? Is that why? Not to be racist, I'm just being factual. And I don't know well, I'm not going to be completely factual because I don't know the exact numbers, but I'm pretty sure that most land is owned by white people and not black people. I mean, in every town I ever lived in or city I ever lived in America,
Mhm.
like even in this town, there's only a small section over here where land and homes are owned by blacks. And those homes are so old, like they have shaky foundations, they're being torn down. And, the majority of everything that's owned in this town is owned by white people. All the businesses, all the properties, the cemeteries. I mean, in this town, not that long ago, you couldn't even bury the blacks with the whites. And there's like one
Wow.
small little cemetery over here where I live where most of the black people are buried, and it's just a small little cemetery. It's like the remnants of all that stuff still exist in certain pockets today. And so it's not something of the past because we still see, you know, it still affects today.
Oh, of course, and it's like my brother. I have a brother who's black, and he has some land he owns now here in Pensacola that was handed down from his family, a couple acres, and used to be a really nice neighborhood, very a really nice neighborhood. Now it's considered the hood here, in this town, and that became so because of they moved, they just shifted everything. There's a point where you know um, black people, the split up of the black family. It all happened around the 50s and 60s, from what Mark was telling me. Is that
Mhm.
there was a point where you know his grandfather, was married, raised him and his mom and aunts and uncles and stuff, and really strong family, really community oriented. And then something happened, like Caleb was talking about, the systematic racism, and this was on the opposing side of the conservatives, I guess. This was more the liberal side, where they fostered, splitting the black family up, and it worked. And now this neighborhood went from what it was to a complete ghetto.
Yeah.
And now there's no families there. There's just a bunch of drug addicts and
Well,
prostitutes and
mhm.
people like that. It just tore the community up. And this was all directly attributed to systematic racism.
I mean, we have presidents on record stating that we're going to flood black communities with crack.
Yep, absolutely.
That's what the CIA
Absolutely.
did. They fucking brought in the crack. They flooded the hood with it, and they did it to fund their illegitimate wars overseas that were there to so-called fight communism. So, but we're not gonna talk about that. We're just gonna act like that never happened.
Stop going
Yeah.
down rabbit holes.
Yeah, just stop that
you're
shit,
just
man.
you're
You're
just going
uncovering
down
too
another
much
rabbit
truth.
hole.
Don't even do that. Yeah.
Dumbass.
Western country, and they are a staggering success. But the locals,
Okay,
on the
let me
other
ask you
hand, and
this.
no, it ain't
Oh yeah, here
slavery.
we go. Here we
Of
go.
dollars and uh,
What about what
selective
about what
treatment
about the
and
what
all,
about
and still
what
can't
type
do
of
it. So
treatment? What
what's
you
the
talking about
problem?
treat? You talking about treatment? What treatment?
EEOC. Hmm.
I'm talking about you're talking about, oh, they were given this, they were given that. They should have been able to just integrate, you know what I'm saying? But it's not that simple and it doesn't work like that, and you know that.
This isn't a racial thing, by the way, because you have plenty of Caribbean black people, you have African black people that can come into any Western country, and they are a staggering success. But the
So this is gonna prove your whole point, and he doesn't even know it. He set himself up for another L.
locals,
Okay,
on the
let me
other
ask you
hand, and
this.
no, it ain't slavery.
Let me
And
ask you
that
this. If I come from an African family, right, that's well grounded, educated, there's a mom and a dad in the household, because I actually happen to know a lot of Africans. I grew up with Africans. They have very stable homes. A lot of them are deeply religious or spiritual, and they look down on, not becoming educated, and they don't, perpetuate any type of lifestyles like, let's say, drug abuse, prostitution, alcoholism. They don't do none of that shit, right?
agreed. Same here.
So if you are raised in that kind of environment and then come to America, you already have a very good background coming here. You know what I'm saying? So why would you compare someone like that to someone who doesn't even know who their grandmother is, because Black people are so scattered in this place? I mean, most of us don't know who our grandmother is, let alone our great grandmother. We don't even know anything about our roots because most of our dads died when they were young or went to prison. Like,
Uh-huh.
we don't have the same foundation, and that doesn't mean a person can't pull themselves up by the bootstraps, but that's not the norm. That's more of a, every now and again thing. There's lots of generational trauma that has to be addressed and healed, and you can't just expect the same thing from a specific group and compare them to a group that
You
did
know
not
what we
experience
you
the
know
same
what we
thing.
can expect is one particular group, and all they do is just look for any excuse not to take responsibility for their own lives, and that's their
First of
damn
all, I'm
problem.
not looking for excuses, and I'm not promoting not taking responsibility for your own life.
Hmm.
That's not what I said. But for you to run around and just scream and yell, you know what I'm saying? What that's going to do?
You're the one that started screaming. I just got to out loud you.
No, I'm just saying, you're over here pissed off about Black people,
I'm
but
not pissed off about black
are you
people.
are
Only
you
thing that
doing
I could have a question about is, this tolerating shit. Why the hell can't a certain demographic in this country get their shit together and live up to a civilized society's standards?
You just freaking answered the question, and he even agreed
Yes.
into it. He agreed into it. like
Also,
it's
I would like to
yeah. Go ahead.
just I just want to say something short about that whole thing about the trillions. I can't really let that go. So I just want to read this small little section here. So
Hmm.
this whole thing about that black people were given trillions. So the first thing is, where are these trillions supposedly coming from? Number one, there has never been a federal reparations program. Number two, there has never been direct compensation for slavery, Jim Crow, or redlining. And number three, black communities have received no special wealth transfers beyond general public assistance available to all races. And even those programs disproportionately benefited white Americans, and that's a fact. Now, as far as who stole from who. If anything, it was black people who were being robbed out of trillions for the simple fact that slavery generated trillions, right?
Yep.
And so who took what from who?
Right.
And so after emancipation, black people received no land, no restitution, and were locked into sharecropping,
Hmm.
convict leasing, and wage theft systems. So then we were still being robbed. And every time black wealth was built up, it was destroyed.
Yep.
Black Wall Street.
Yep.
I mean, the list goes on and on. I mean, I could just go on and on and on.
And slavery really never ended for black people because of that loophole in I forget which amendment ended slavery.
I'm trying to think. Is it
You said who
17th?
ended it?
Which amendment?
Uh,
Which amendment?
Let me see. I'll look it up.
Because it basically said that slavery is
13th
unconstitutional.
Amendment.
Yeah, the
That's right.
13th Amendment, and so it's like, but if you go to
Yeah,
prison, we can still
13.
treat you as a slave, and it's like that's still a thing today. It's like, and it does, and the whole let's make private prisons a thing where
Right.
it's profitable to put people in prisons has just exacerbated this whole base. You're a slave basically in prison.
Yeah, and I think that people like Al Harding, I'm not trying to sound like, I'm not trying to sound cocky or anything. This is just a fact. I would say that black people are actually very resilient. And I think people like Al are fucking mad that no matter what they throw at black people, we're like cockroaches. We somehow always come back or overcome shit. And I think that he's mad about that. I think he's mad that black people are very resilient. And I've brought this point up before when we had a conservative show. And I was talking about how black people were 100% illiterate and just in a short amount of time, they became 50% literate. You see what I'm saying? So the, the, the rate at which black people overcome is actually very impressive. But at the same time, that shouldn't really be the case. Not one group of people shouldn't have to be put through that type of shit over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
So
did you
what would make
understand that?
the black community hall without anyone else having to fucking deal with it then?
Oh yeah, this is the part I wanted to go over.
Mm.
Let me back it up a little bit.
Yeah, I am listening, and it's still gimme, 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 gimme. When stop
What
trying
did
to
I
go down these rabbit
what
holes.
did I say that is
Rabbit
an
holes.
excuse? Please explain that.
Here we go.
I don't know who our grandmother is, let alone our great grandmother. We don't even know anything about our roots because most of our dads died when they were young or went to prison. Like
Uh-huh.
we don't have the same foundation, and that doesn't mean a person can't pull themselves up by the bootstraps, but that's not the norm. That's more of a every now and again thing. There's lots of generational trauma that has to be addressed and healed, and you can't just expect the same thing from a specific group and compare them to a group that
You
did
know
not
what we
experience the same thing.
can expect is one particular group, and all they do is just look for any excuse not to take responsibility for their own lives, and that's their
First of
damn
all, I'm
problem.
not looking for excuses, and I'm not promoting not taking responsibility for your own life.
Mhm.
That's not what I said. But for you to run around and just scream and yell, you know what I'm saying? What that's going to do?
You're the one that started screaming. I just gotta out loud you.
No, I'm just saying, you're over here pissed off about black people,
I'm
but
not pissed off about black people.
are
Only
you
thing that
doing
I could have a question about is, this tolerating shit. Why the hell can't a certain demographic in this country get their shit together and live up to a civilized society standards.
Whatever.
This
I try.
tolerating is bullshit.
I literally try to explain things to you, and you're not hearing shit. Whatever.
Because you're going off on some tangent. The excuses, no. Let's get to actual something that we can work with.
How is it an excuse?
Do you not have agency?
Now you're calling me stupid?
I said agency. I didn't say anything about your intelligence. Stop
What
trying
did
to
I-
go down these rabbit
Rabbit
What
holes.
did I say that is an excuse? Please explain that.
Man.
Well, let me see. Every time I ask you a question, it's either we're going to avoid the issue or we're going to make an excuse to avoid the issue.
Scott, you're a moderator. Did you see that happening?
No, not really.
Did
Oh,
I
Scott, you-
explain? Did I
This is the
answer
thing.
him and thoroughly
You
answer
did.
him each time?
So
What are
You,
you
you
talking
gave
about?
an answer, but you didn't answer the question. You just gave
What
a
did I not
response.
answer? What did I
A
not answer?
response
Please
is
tell
not
me.
an answer.
What did
Well,
I not
now we're up.
answer?
Now we're up to 3 questions, actually 4 now, because I asked, how the hell can we correct this? But we're going to avoid that one too,
I
aren't
was
we?
trying to tell you how it has to be corrected. You're not listening.
mhm.
Then
I
pay
said-
attention to
I
the
said-
topic.
I said certain things need to be addressed.
Okay, and I stated
said-
that they have been
I said-
addressed.
That's what you say. That ain't true in the Black communities. It's not even common to
Okay.
acknowledge mental illness.
Okay.
We're first of all taught to not even really, let it show. We're just told keep on going. That we don't even believe in mental illnesses. We're told shit like, oh man, you just need a good ass whooping, and then you're gonna be fine. We
What
don't
would
even address mental illness in our communities because that's what we've been taught and that's what we keep passing down to one another. So I'm saying the way that we can change things and make them better is that we need to stop putting a stigma on mental illness. We need to start addressing those mental illnesses. We need to start saying, hey, I may need some help. I may need some therapy. Are you listening?
Amen. Here we go.
Yeah, I am listening, and it's still gimme. When the hell are you going to be whole?
No. Oh my goodness. So this motherfucker just doesn't listen. That shit was
Yeah,
funny.
that dude's a waste of fucking space, honestly. I don't even like having these type of discussions. I choose not to. And my block button has been in full effect. And that motherfucker was actually blocked years ago. And he's got a bunch of fake profiles, and I blocked all of those. He likes to pose as a female. And honestly, it's like he just used this show to still somehow get at me because I rejected the hell out of him years ago because he was coming at me like he's a friend. And, a lot of Republicans throughout the last, I want to say 5-6 years would come at me like friends and say, oh, you're outspoken or you're such a great speaker. And in reality, they were just trying to recruit me to become a mouthpiece for their rhetoric in the Black community. And for a little while, I was a little bit suckered into it. And I'm actually ashamed of that because I started telling myself that I wasn't seeing any racism. I started telling myself that, I need to pick myself up by the bootstraps. And it's like I was just feeding into that shit for a while. And then I started seeing their true colors, and, they basically compensate me as long as I spew this rhetoric. And I started feeling really used by these people and figured out that they're not really friends. And, it's a learning experience. I can't really say that I regret it because it taught me something. And that's why I like doing what we do now, because we're getting at the root of the issue, which is non-dualism. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Realizing that at the end of the day, it's all from a unified field. We're all connected. We're all in this together. This is one world. It's one society, and we all have to put up with each other's shit. And the more that we try to you know, separate ourselves and pretend like this one's better than that one or this one's better than that one, we're not going to get anywhere. And that's why this country is in the state that it's in, because these politicians get votes the more they keep us divided. And at the end of the day, it's the
Hmm.
companies who are racking it in.
Yep.
And we're just at odds over every little fucking thing. We have no type of common ground on anything. Nothing at all. Like,
Well,
Yep.
where's the common ground?
Yeah. And the
well, you
fact
know,
that
go right ahead.
uh,
Sorry.
I was going to say, and the fact that you can just look back on that at that point in time in your life, Sophia, and like cringe at it. It's like, that just means you're growing. You're constantly growing as a
Yeah,
person.
And one thing I wanted to add
thank
to
you.
that is Al told me that I'm just a white guy who's white knighting for a pavement ape or pavement monkey, whatever he called her, and said that I just want to get in her pants because I have jungle fever. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? So I wanted to also put on blast. After that debate, he was so mad. All of a sudden, he starts posting up on Facebook all these super racist memes and statements. And I just wanted to show because, on this particular debate, he's like, oh, I'm not racist. I'm just calling it as it is. I'm just being a voice of any reasonable person. How you doing, Lou?
Hi, how are you?
Doing good,
Hey,
man.
Lou.
Hey, Luke.
Hi.
We're just going over that crazy unhinged guy we spoke to last week. I think Lou also spoke to him. We were talking about religion, and he says he's an atheist, yet he was really defending the Bible and slavery in the Bible and all this other stuff. It's really weird.
He's just indoctrinated and doesn't even know how severely indoctrinated he is. When he said, "Do I have agency?" I wonder if he understands that he really doesn't have agency. And yeah, I mean, there's nothing new about anything this guy says. That's just typical. It's just typical right winger fucking bullshit.
Yeah, and I like how at the end of that debate, a guest came on, our friend Isaiah, who's a Christian, and he wanted to talk to kind of address some of the things he was saying, and we got into the whole Israeli conflict and started going down that path a little bit. And man, he started spitting out all this anti-Semitic stuff, and Isaiah was like, "You know what? This is too hateful. This is too dangerous and toxic. I'm out of here." And he just clicked off real quick.
Yeah, that's the only way to really deal with people like that.
Hmm.
He shouldn't
So,
even got the little time that he got, but you know what? It's still relevant because it exposed him once and for all. Because for years, people didn't really believe me about him, and people would say, "Oh, nah, Al's not that bad," and he's just Al, and no one really believed me. And people like him, they'll make you look like you're the unhinged one. And I think that this last little episode really brought to the surface who's really the unhinged one,
well,
because I wasn't emotional.
I wanted to
I
do it
was a little bit.
because, yeah, go ahead, Sophia. Sorry.
I was just saying I wasn't really emotional, like extremely or anything. I was a little bit agitated because he was just constantly trying to move the goalpost, and he was doing deflection, and he was just doing everything except honestly engaging. And it was really, it took like all the patience of the universe to suffer through that shit, because
Well,
really what I wanted to do is just tell him to shut the fuck up and get off my line, but I'm
well,
like,
I mean,
there's no point.
he was just, and he was just being downright disrespectful towards you. So.
Yeah, he was,
Yeah, and that
and
even
that's
doesn't even
yep.
bother me. Like, I don't even care about that shit. I'm so used to that kind of stuff. I mean, I've had white people tell me shit like my ex boss. She was like, "What's the name of your children?" And I'm like, Selena, Lorenzo, and Julius. And she's like, "What? Shouldn't you be naming your kids African names like something like Bonquisha?"
Right.
I'm so used to. Yeah, I'm just so used to people saying the most ridiculous shit that I have to laugh about it. Like, I have to laugh. I can't even get mad anymore. That's you get numb to that dumb shit.
Hey, Lou. One more thing I want to say before I give Lou some words I want him to say, but um, I'm really glad this happened because based on the conversation the day before with all the other crap, I started seeing just how weird this guy is and how I really don't want him on my show anymore. And, but on the other hand, I kind of like want a show that invites people of different opinions and different views and everything. And I'm trying to find that balance. But I just need someone to come cross that line, though, and be disrespectful and be hateful. And so I'm kind of glad it happened because he was more than willing to cross that line and be disrespectful. But anyways, Lou, what did you think so far? Did you get a chance to listen to what?
I, yeah, I've been listening a little bit, and I mean, the guy obviously is, has a racist attitude. That's obvious,
Hmm.
and I'm sure it's because he's bought into a lot of right wing propaganda, I guess. So he's become. If he wasn't always racist, he's become racist, and these racists don't really understand that they're racist. it's like
Right.
it's like part of who they are, you know,
Yeah,
and they can't even recognize it, I guess. So it's very
that's
strange,
true.
you know.
That's very true. It's like they're not. The lack of self-awareness is astounding. They don't even realize it.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's a brainwashing, pretty much.
Yeah,
They just
Look,
I agree.
get into this place where they feel they're the victim. They feel that the world is set up against them. Like when you talk about critical race theory and the things that have happened in America, they take it as they are the ones who are now, they're the ones who are victimized. And it's
Yeah,
twisting reality from one realistic view to a completely irrational, uh, unrealistic view of the world. You know, I mean,
and
it's
yes,
obvious. It's
yeah,
obvious that black people in America have been victimized through racism. I mean, that's so obvious to anyone who cares to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
And yet they turn it around like they're the victims, and it's stupidity, I think.
oh,
And
absolutely. And for him to say he's not a racist, look on the screen. This is what he posts up after the debate. Uh, the Wakanda Queen, always ignorant, always loud, always hateful, always envious, and always
mm,
violent. Like that's obviously he's a racist, man.
Yes, and this thing with the I'm a white guy. Okay, so
Yeah.
but when I grew up, and racism would show, but I think racism is worse today. So
oh
when they
yeah,
come out and say like, wow, it's gotten, there is no longer racism, they're living in a different world, because I
oh,
kind of see racism as worse today in a lot of
yeah.
ways.
If you wanted to see just how bad it's getting, it's like I don't know if you guys have seen that Mehdi Hassan versus 20 uh, far right people,
Yeah, I watched a little bit of it, and it
and
was ridiculous.
it's like if you're not white, we want to deport you. It's like you're not even hiding your
Yeah.
awful views anymore.
Yes, that I think happened with Trump, with Trumpism. It's
Yeah.
like you don't have to hide your racism anymore.
Yep.
It's like you can pretty much come right out and say, I'm a racist. And that has become acceptable in
Mm.
America today. And not with me, and I don't think with you fellows, but it's
Yeah.
become an acceptable thing.
Yeah, it's like you can be like, I want a theocratic, autocratic ethno state, and it's like no one bats an eye. It's just
Yeah,
weird.
it's like, it's, I mean, it's really, really scary to me. I mean, we're
Yes.
even down this road now, with racism is become normalized in the last like 10 years,
Well, I mean,
at
and
least in the past we were changing and it seemed like we were on the right path, and it's like we went backwards. That's how I see it,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you know.
and and take the whole like you know Donald Trump attacking Rosie O'Donnell. It's like sure that's a distraction. It doesn't really mean anything, but it's like but the to me the one scary thing though is like what if he does actually try to revoke her citizenship, and what if he is successful? It's like that opens a whole new can of worms.
Oh, I think he would do that.
Mm-hmm.
That would not surprise me.
Because it's like that it's not just undocumented immigrants who are in trouble. It's like if you're a citizen, he can
Yeah.
just make you disappear.
Oh yeah, and he floats. I mean, I've been watching Trump for many years.
Mm-hmm.
He'll float these crazy things out there, and then eventually he will actually do them. So it
Yeah.
wouldn't shock me if
Yeah.
he actually did such a thing, you know?
Yeah. It's horrible. It's like you said. He's given license for people to share their racist views because he gives them legitimacy, and and it's become the new norm, and it's really scary. Like I agree with you, Lou. It's really scary when you think about it because it's so divisive, and and it's not even what's so sad, and this is why I always tell people, we have to really start disassociating ourselves from the news sometimes and what these politicians are teaching us and these Fox News people and these kind of things. We really need to start looking at each other, because like when I'm at work or in my neighborhood with my neighbors, we're all nice to each other. Everybody's friendly. None of this stuff comes up. We work together. We solve problems together at work. But you would never think that's possible if you were to watch the news. The news makes it looks like we're all at each other's throat. And Trump is like, "See, we need to hate on these people," and and that's the overall messaging that's coming out. And so, unfortunately, especially people that get isolated and stay at home and watch news all day, they're part of this outrage culture, and that's all they know. That's all the information they take in. So when they do go out in the world, they project that attitude onto what they see, and it just gets reinforced back over and over, and they just keep reinforcing this mirror, perception, and it's dangerous because it leads to behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
I got a question for you, Scott.
Yes, sir.
I know you're trying to, have your channel open up to all different views. And I
Hmm.
think that's very important. All right. So, and I understand, that guy there, Al, was particularly bothersome because he's spewing ignorance,
Yeah.
right? And I get that, but it's strange because I don't know what's better to have people like that show themselves for who they really are so
Mm.
that people can see it, or does it give them a platform where people will consider that a normal, thought?
Right.
So I
Right.
don't know. I don't know the answer. Like that Mehdi Hassan thing.
Yep.
Um, these people were horrible human beings that were,
Yes.
attacking him, and he was so much in the right when it comes to the debate aspect of it.
Uh huh.
But I don't know if people like, I'm confused if people watch that and go, oh, it's great that these radical nut jobs were able to spew their nonsense.
I
Or
know.
do they see them as radical nut jobs? I don't
I
know.
know. I know. I get that, and that's what I struggle with. I kind of took a hit one time. I think Logan, if you're still out there, I mean, yeah, Logan from the Uncarved Block channel, he was on. He was on, and we were talking about the transgender issue, and we were talking about different viewpoints on that particular issue, and I was just trying to be objective and give everybody a voice and express our opinion, never in a hateful way. I have trans friends, I have gay friends, and we all know I'm a non-dualist, so that stuff doesn't matter. I'm an idealist, so I know that the trans experience is valid. All experiences is valid since it's primary to each person. So as an idealist, obviously you know what side I'm going to fall on. But I was also given some other, like, the trans in the women's bathroom, the more nuanced concerns from everybody else involved. And just by having that discussion, I had lost a friend who was a trans person, a trans woman. She
Right.
was very mad, and she was like, "I can't believe you would platform that kind of hate on your show." And she even pointed the finger at Sophia and said, "And who is that girl that's sitting there also you have on there spewing her hate?" And it's like, I didn't see it that way. We were just talking. We were just opening up and, kind of considering the different views on that particular issue, but also supporting the trans people. They have a right to their experience, and they are who they are, and we should love them and accept them as we do everyone else. But because we were kind of going into maybe touchy territory, she got offended and she couldn't see anything outside of that. And so she's like, "I'm blocking you. I don't support you anymore. I'm really disappointed in you as a person." And so now I have Al on talking all this stuff, and I haven't yet had anybody come on yet to say, "Why are you platforming racists?" or anything like that. But I kind of feel it coming, and it's why I wanted to do this debate review, to kind of just put it out there to let everybody know, while I'm trying to be open and I'm trying to give everybody the chance to express themselves. I mean, that's the whole premise of the show, is to have an open discussion and teach people that we can disagree, even on the most hard conversations. Like religion is a hard conversation to have, but we have it every week, and we talk about touchy things. And so, where do you draw the line? That's a good question. I'm kind of like polling it. What do you think, Sophia, about all of
I
that?
I think that it goes either way. I mean, you're gonna have some biased people who are racist who are gonna agree with every talking point that he brought up, but then it also gives an opportunity to show how that was dismantled with facts.
Yep.
And you're gonna see that we're being transparent. We're showing how the conversation went, and you can clearly, if you're gonna be honest, you can clearly see how he was the one who moved the goalpost, who was hateful. And I don't think I said anything hateful to him once. And I'm not a hateful person. Some people mistake my passion for hatred. It's not that. It's just that I had to stand up for myself all my life, and that's just that's just me. That's part of my identity. But I'm not hateful. And the whole thing about having him on, it's because we wanted to give him a fair chance. We wanted to show that no matter what your viewpoint is, we're all humans, and we should all be able to sit at the table and have a civilized discussion. And that just shows that he's not on that level, and that's also okay because that's just how reality can only be what reality is, and that's fine. Everybody's on their own level, but we're not going to go down that road with anybody. We're not going to facilitate anything like that, and we
Right.
also want to make that clear.
That's right. That's right. That's kind of where I'm pivoting a little bit, is I'm having to draw the line a little bit and say, you know what? Maybe I need to be a little more careful with who I'm letting on my show, because it does kind of like start to wonder. Like me, I was just like last week after all of these shows, I looked at the one the day before, the one where Lou was on, and I was rewatching that and listening to Al's talking points, and I was like, yeah, that's kind of weird. Then with this debate, it really became clear, like, man, I have to really stand up and eventually tell these people you're not welcome back, because I can't entertain hate. That's one thing I'm not going to do. I'm not going to
Yeah.
entertain disrespect and hate. What do you think, Caleb?
But I want to say in your defense, Scott. I mean, don't be too hard on yourself because overall, we don't attract those type of people to our show, and we don't entertain those type of people. I think there was a little bit of a personal aspect to this, which was Al and my history, and it was kind of his way of weaseling his way back into my life because, like I said earlier, I have that man blocked from everything, and he just couldn't get his hands on me in any kind of way. So when he saw our channel or our podcast, he saw that as an opportunity to somehow get at me again. So I think that aspect of it is also why he ended up on this show.
Mhm.
And I wouldn't, don't beat yourself up. That was more of a personal thing that he was trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like I'm all for free speech and debating different ideas, and even making people who hold ridiculous beliefs have them hang them have them hang themselves basically, like flat earthers. But it's like
Hmm.
when
Yeah.
we get into things like, oh, let the, those Muslim countries throwing gay people off roofs, the the
Yeah.
Muslims are really moral. It's like, I don't think we should be debating people's existence. Like, that's, to me, that's just like, that's
Yeah.
one thing where it's just like, why? No, like, I can't entertain you wanting to kill people. That's just
Right.
Yeah. Like, how is that virtuous? He kept saying
yeah.
it's virtue. He's like, I'm an atheist. I don't have beliefs. I just go along with objective facts. And the fact is, homosexuals are evil and should be thrown
Yeah.
off roofs. Like,
And all
that's your
homosexuals have been
belief?
sexually molested, and that's what they all have in
Oh.
common.
Yeah.
I
Remember
saw,
that.
I saw Brooklyn movie telling them, well, there's a lot of heterosexual people who have been
Mhm.
molested, so what the fuck you gonna say now? Like, it's just rhetoric. Let's just call it what it is.
Hmm. And on one hand, it's kind of good to expose this because, one of the things, even before Al got on to say all these things on those last two episodes, a lot of the conservatives came up to me and I was kind of trying to tell them, like, well, I just want to dispel a lot of these racists and, homophobic. So, and a lot of people were saying, yeah, but you're just going off of what you were told by the liberal media, because actually, us Republicans, we're not really like that at all. You'll never find someone that believes these sort of things. So now that I have them on my channel spewing all this crap, it kind of like proof is in the pudding, like you can look at the show yourself and see it. And of course, they all said, oh, well, that was just, he's different. That's just, he doesn't represent, he's a special case or whatever. It's like, no, I've actually heard this from many others, but I don't want to take the time to have all of them come on my show and expose
I
that
mean,
crap because,
Even Trump says things like that.
right.
When he was talking about Haitians eating cats and dogs, and I kind of took offense to that because I am part Haitian, and I'm like, no, I actually have a lot of cats that I love and take care of, and I don't eat cats, motherfucker.
Yeah. Good God.
You know, you know, when I was young, I went to a school that was kind of split. It was both black and white. It was kind of like a mixture. Um, and racism was something that I would see. I would encounter people who I knew who were white people who were racist, and they were kind of these back backward thinking older folks coming from like generational we used to call them the greases. I don't even know if that
Greases.
word means anything anymore, but it was like a certain type of person that was like more back in the 50s in their mentality, you know.
Yeah.
And these people, they were racist against black people. And they were kind of, other than them being racist, some of them were okay, but they're still racist. So I came to understand that racism really comes from within you. You know, you
Mm-hmm.
you have this racist bone in you. You know, and or you don't. And
But
Al obviously has a racist inner. You know, he's an inner racist, and it
Yeah.
comes out when he's in these forums. You know, you could he reveals who he is.
Yeah. He
and
really does.
and it's like you can
yeah,
unlearn
I can
these
see it.
terrible behaviors, but it's like you are choosing not to. It's like there, like to me, there's no excuse in today's age. Like, it's,
Yeah, it's strange though. Like I look back, and I was lucky enough, I think, when I was real little, that my neighbors were black, and they were Jehovah Witnesses. And I
Wow.
wasn't black, and I wasn't a Jehovah Witness, so they were very different than me. But those were my closest friends, you know,
Yeah.
and that those relationships, I think, looking back, kind of formed me as a non-racist person, you know, because I
Mm-hmm.
was able to understand that, these were my closest friends
yeah.
and my closest to me, and yet they weren't like me, right? They were a little different than I was, and
Well, I
the
mean,
part that when they would be outcast as, and that's when I would get really upset, like when some racist type white guy would call my friends names because they were black. That really, that would get me going,
mhm,
I'm like, how are you to say, because I knew these people were good people,
yeah.
you
Well,
know
I mean, when you're a kid, you're not really thinking about race. It's like why
right.
one of my best childhood friends growing up was next door neighbor, and they were from Africa. His name was Rafiki, and for I'd say for a couple of years we were just two kids playing in the woods together, or in the
Yes.
pool. It's like, and sadly they moved away, and I can only hope he's he's him and his family are doing well. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's like,
It's very true. It's taught. It's a learned behavior because when my kids were smaller, we were, I guess we were barbecuing one day at the lake or something, and my friend who was white and we all put our hand out together, and I asked the kids, what do you see that's different? And they just looked at all of our hands, and my son said, "Oh, his arm's hairy." But he never once noticed that his skin is white, So like, it's definitely a taught behavior.
Mhm.
yes, and I remember it going both ways a little bit, because my friends would
Yeah,
defend me with some other with certain black people who would look at me as, not a good person because I was white, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And my friends stood
yeah,
up for me just like I stood up for them,
Yeah.
So we learned very young. I was kind of fortunate, I think, to learn that racism is ignorant. It's
Mhm.
just stupid.
yes,
And when
it is. It's
it's so
just
funny. It's like the funny thing is I got written up at work a couple years ago for being a racist. So
I remember that story.
so like, I'm very comfortable with people of other races. And you know, where I work at, mainly it's black people, where I work at, and and I'm half Hawaiian, so I'm a little tan, and at the time I had a bald head, and a lot of people I just started working there. A lot of people just they always told me, they always just thought I was a mixed guy, like a half black, half white dude. Is He's like, that's how we saw you. We thought you were just, a mixed kid or whatever, mixed guy. Never thought anything of it. So, um, And we'd all make these racial jokes on each other when they found out, who I really was. Then we'd all make fun of each other's race or whatever, just how to make the day go by or whatever. And there's this one black dude, my best friend here, Bill, and he's like a light skinned dude too, and he was married to a white woman. And one time, our new boss, who was just this idiot, she was an asshole. Anyway, she used to always bring. Sometimes she'd bring food into the workplace, like cookies and stuff like that. So she one time she bought a tray of Oreo cookies into the office, and she goes, "Hey guys, good news! I got Oreo cookies for you." And I was like, "Well, that's good news for Bill because he's an Oreo himself." Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, fuck you, Scott," and we just all laughed it off. But she didn't like me anyways. We were having professional problems, so she decided to write me up for being a racist. She's like, "Yeah, he's a racist. He called the black guy at work an Oreo and this and that and this and that." And they called me up and were like, the HR people were like, "Is it true that you're calling people at work Oreo and stuff like that?" I'm like, "It's just a joke." And they're like, "No, we don't take those jokes very lightly. If you're a racist, just let us know because we're gonna let you go." And I'm like, "How could I be a racist when I'm kind of mixed myself? But not only that, my kids are black." And they're like, "Excuse me?" I was like, "Yeah, my children are black." And they're like, "Okay, well, never mind. Let's just act like this never happened, if you don't mind." Like, okay, it was just funny, you know.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's one of those. It's just it's a weird thing, man. It's a weird
I
thing.
also think you
Well, I
can
think
make.
that also,
I was gonna say, I think you can make a joke,
sorry.
a racist, like you could make a joke about race without being racist.
Right, right.
Obviously,
Yeah, it's a
but
false
it's what's
dichotomy.
Exactly.
Yeah,
what's
And
it's what's coming
we
from the
used to just
inside.
laugh about shit like that.
Yeah, I mean, I used to laugh at Richard Pryor.
yeah,
I mean, he
yeah,
always was,
Yeah.
talking about race and all that.
Mhm.
yeah.
But I thought it was
And I
good.
mean, there are some stereotypes that are funny, and I mean, even as black people, we make fun of our own stereotypes sometimes, and I'm sure
Oh,
every other race does too. Like, it's just people take shit too serious. But I think, like, in America, racism is more than just, somebody focusing on someone's skin color. I think it's more like a system, that was designed to make sure that one group of people got more out of the system. Like this white lady told me one time, because white people were the ones who created the institutions, they also should have the right to gatekeep it. So on one hand, you're telling people to integrate into the system, but on the other hand, you don't even want them in there. So you're constantly putting stumbling blocks in the way, and then you justify that by saying we the ones created the institutions, so we're allowed to keep you out. So at the end of the day, we're talking about a system that benefits one group of people more than the other. And so, of course, I have a friend and he's gay, and I'm saying that because he's the coolest dude ever. He's one of my best friends, and he says all the time, like, he was brought up very privileged, very little responsibility and stuff. And he's like, I did benefit from the system and I still do. And he said, honestly, why would I not want to benefit from it if it's designed that way? Why would I want to give that up? And he's not a racist or anything, but he's just being real that when he was growing up, he could see how he had advantages that other children didn't have. And quite frankly, why would he want to give that up? So I think at the end of the day that there are people who are afraid that the playing field may start to be more leveled, and that some people may have to put more work into things that they don't feel they should have to, because they're so used to getting it more easily. And I'm not saying that's every white person, because that's not true. It just depends. But overall, we're talking about a system that was created under the guise of racism. Like, racism isn't really what it's really about. It's not really about your color, the color of your skin, is what I'm saying. Am I even making any sense?
Yeah, you remind me of Louis C.K. when he did that skit on maybe I can pull up let watch it really quick. It's a real short 2 minute video where he's talking about I enjoy being white, and he talks
Yeah,
about
that's what it reminds me of too.
yeah, it's like let's go ahead and admit that being white has its advantages. I mean, we're arguing,
It's not to say that white people don't have any hardships. I'm not saying that at all because I don't want
right.
nobody coming back and saying, "Oh, you're gonna say white people don't never struggle." No, I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
I used to hear that a lot. That
Yeah,
that reverse thing. Like
yeah,
they would say, like I recognize that as a white child, there were certain privileges that I had that other races didn't have. I totally recognize that, right? But there was the reverse would be you would be told certain people would say, yeah, but I have problems too. Well, yeah, everybody has problems, I mean, everybody. I mean, as a white man, I have
Yeah,
problems. All right.
oh
It's not
yeah,
like I live a
Yeah.
right.
life where
It's
there's
just,
no
Yeah.
problem.
It's just that
right. Some people
your
just take it.
race.
Some of us take it to the
Yeah.
extreme, and it's like anything you ever accomplished, you didn't work for. Like that's also
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Well,
You know
it's
what I
like
mean?
white white
So
like white privilege is
go ahead.
this acknowledging. Okay, well, it's like I still have struggles, but my whiteness has nothing to do with my struggles. It's like,
Right.
uh,
That's what I'm saying. But people can turn that, and
Mhm.
like a racist person turns that,
Yeah.
and they go, wait a second, I'm white and I was poor. Yeah, you can
Yeah,
be white and be poor, of course.
Right,
But that's not the point. The point is that the systems were set up, and the
right,
systems were racist in and of themselves.
Yeah.
What we
right,
would call systemic racism,
well, it's kind of
right?
like
right.
when I was a kid, and I lived in a predominantly black neighborhood at the time, at this one particular time, all black school, and they viewed me as white, which I'm half Hawaiian or whatever, but they didn't care. They just viewed me as a white guy, and
Hey, they view me as white in the hood. What can I say?
yeah, that's how it was, and they were like, we were sitting around and they were talking about, yeah, the white people are what got us here. And they were like feeding into this victimhood mentality, and they were talking about, yeah, you're white, but look at us, we're here and we're suffering, we're poor because we're black and this and that, and but you white people did it, and I was like, yeah, but why would I do all that to you and then move right into the same neighborhood you're at? Like, like, why
Right,
would I choose to be here in the same neighborhood you are then? If I, if that's really the case, like this is
Well,
far bigger than that.
I want to say just, and these are personal observations, they're not absolute facts. But in my
Yeah.
own life, I found more racism on the side of the white people,
Oh yeah.
more. And like I've lived in the hood, and I never felt like I was being looked down upon because I was white. That's my own personal experience,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But I have seen white people really look down on black people, and that today is Spanish people.
Oh yeah.
Spanish people are really being looked down on today.
Oh
But
heck yeah.
I never
yeah,
experienced it so much living in the hood. I didn't really experience that. I didn't find black people angry with me. I didn't find that.
I chalk it up to my experience was just kids that just wanted a excuse to bully somebody smaller than them because I was really underweight and kind of a small kid, coming up, and all these kids were bigger than me and they'd pick on me, and it was just the obvious thing to pick on him for. He's different than us, so they would pick on me for it. And now a lot of those guys are my friends till this day, And talking to them years ago, they're like, oh, we never really fucked with you because you're white. We were just trying to fuck with you just because we wanted to fuck with you. You know, it's like
Well,
it
kids
had
Because
nothing
kids
really
kids
to
are,
do
do
with it.
kids
yeah,
are assholes. Let's face
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
yeah.
kids
They're
do
just
a
being
lot of crazy stuff. But
yeah.
I remember
Yes.
when my black friends moved into my area where my mom and dad settled in, and the area was white. It was like
Hmm.
back then there was certain areas that were black and certain areas that were white, right? So
Still exists today.
yeah, still
Yeah.
now.
Hmm.
And but I remember when my black friends moved into that area and I was a little boy. But as I grew up, I would hear white people in the community saying, well, they ruined the community, you know, which is totally insane because
Yeah.
these people were hardworking people, you know, they they were good people.
Yeah.
So I don't,
I've been hearing shit like that. I've been hearing shit like that all my life. I used to run track, and I was really good, believe it or not, before I got fat. But anyway, uh, I would be running and smoking my opponents, and I'd hear the white people in the crowd saying, "Oh my God, look at that fat Nick," you know, run with the big ass tits, because they didn't like that. I guess they thought it was weird that I was so developed for my age. Because I mean, when I was 12, I probably had a C cup. I ain't even gonna lie. And the way
Oh,
that our bodies develop a little quicker, like if I was invited to like birthday parties, I couldn't really go there and I couldn't really hang out with people my age because I would be seen as a grown woman when I wasn't. And a lot of white males would sexualize me, unfortunately. And I've heard stuff like that all my life, but I have to say, and I'm not trying to play the victim, because like I said, I'm used to this shit. This shit don't bother me anymore. But it's kind of always been the white people who have something to say about my skin color. Like, I don't go up to white people and start talking about, ooh, let me try this. What type of hair do you have? Can I touch it? Like in the middle of a
yeah.
store, she just wants to fucking stick her hands in my hair. And does it hurt if I pull on it a little bit? Oh, that doesn't hurt you. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm not a zoo animal, Becky.
Well,
Like, stop it.
well,
And it's like, we have a lot of tolerance. Like, we put up with a lot of dumb shit, and we don't just start talking about your race as if it's the most important thing in the room. I mean, I don't know. There's a little bit of a, seems like, obsession sometimes
yeah.
with
yeah.
Well,
our
I,
skin color.
I feel like though it's like there needs to be destigmatization, like you said, Sophie, around mental illness, and just
Yes.
like and just like how we're all like tiptoeing around the word victim, and it's like to me it's like it's just a fact that
Yep.
you know black people as a whole, we're victimized by white people, and it's like it's all right to be like, yeah, I was, what they did to me was wrong and I was a victim. But I also understand where it's like, if you're in that victim mentality your whole life, like that's also just not a healthy
You know
way
what
of
really,
living.
Right. You,
pissed
you
me
just,
off?
you got to find a way. You got to find a way to rise above it, because if you don't, you'd be severely depressed. You wouldn't even be able to make it out of bed, because you
Exactly.
just get to a point. You just get to a point where you have to
Where-
build the type of resilience to just
mhm.
fucking rise above
Yeah,
it. That's
yeah,
all I can say about that.
yeah,
Because
and
there
which,
are good white people who are never gonna do
yeah,
stuff like that. And
yeah,
that's what, how it was for me. I was raised by a white woman because I was raised in foster care. And that woman made me who I am today. And my sister from Germany is coming to visit me in like 7 days. And we haven't seen each other in 27
yeah,
years. So that's going to be freaking amazing.
yeah,
And so there's good people and bad people in every race. And we can't lose
mhm,
sight of that
no,
because of a handful of fucking assholes. We just
yeah.
can't do that.
Yeah, and it's like to me, it's like progressives are really good at pointing out systemic issues,
Hmm.
but they're terrible when it's like when they just try to reduce black people to just their victimhood. Um,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
it's kind of it kind of
Like
is a slap in the
we're
face.
such victims that we don't even know how to use the internet, or we don't even know how to get a fucking ID card. Like, we're
Right,
just
right, right,
totally
right.
fucked.
Yeah, I never understood that law. They did something like that in Florida too, where they're like, well, we don't need to check the IDs of black people because they're disadvantaged. They're not going to know how to go to the polling
They
place and
don't know
vote.
how to get an ID.
They don't know how to get the IDs. They don't know. It's like,
Yeah.
how do
Now,
you
I
think they
can tell you
drive
one thing
cars and
though.
shit?
A lot of us, don't have insurance on our vehicles, and because we
Yeah,
don't pay our tickets, we may have a suspended ID,
yeah, yeah. So does these
and we
rednecks
don't
down
get
here.
it unsuspended.
But you know what really pissed me off about that debate though, talking about victimhood, was when Al asked you, Sophia. He asked Sophia, "Well, what has a white person ever did to you that you were a victim from?"
No,
And Sophia,
what happened was, I have to act it out, y'all, because I'm an asshole.
okay,
But I was
yep,
saying
yeah,
that I was saying, how has everybody noticed how this motherfucker keeps referring to himself saying I'm white, and then he puts me on the hot seat and he just keeps asking me questions as if black people were accountable to him because he's white. So I said, well, I haven't asked one question yet, and I said, what about white people? What are they accountable for? What about them? And he goes, um, not one white man has ever done a goddamn thing to you. That's what he said.
yeah. And
And I
you're,
said, well, as a matter of fact, that's false because when I was 12, I was raped by a white man. And he goes, yeah, yeah, yeah. Victim, victim, victim.
it's
Like,
like
Like
what?
what? Yeah,
that
that
pissed me off. I was
yeah,
like,
that
That's so fucking man. That was so cringy when he did that. I was like,
yeah.
God damn.
Do,
That was horrific. But I
Scott,
mean,
do
who
not regret
cares?
get reading him.
Oh man, he's gone, man. That was like the final straw for me. I was like, I even told him, I was like, how can you tell somebody who's been raped as a child that they're not a they have no right to view themselves as a victim? Like, that's the fucking
But where that
definition.
came from, y'all got to know how Al thinks. And he has to express that to me. Where that came from is he believes that black girls, by the time they're 9, are hypersexual, and that all we do is
They're
run
asking
around and
for it.
entice white guys. We're
Yes.
it's our fault that our bodies develop quicker, and because of that, it's our fault if a guy says, "Oh wow, she looks developed. Let me rape her." So it's your fault because your
Yeah.
ass is too big, or
Jesus.
Yeah, he told me
it's
that
your fault.
too. He says, yeah, but black women, they're asking for it.
Wow.
Oh,
Like
Yeah,
like like my wife, she's not she's one of the whitest people I know. That she suffered from PCOS all of her life, and she had puberty when she was like 8. It's like, are you? And
Mm.
yeah.
thankfully, she was never, a victim of sexual abuse. But it's like, are you going to tell me that she was asking for it because she hit puberty at 8? Like, it's crazy.
That's how
And
these
that's
people
kind of how
think,
it went
man.
for me. And I had my first period before I was even 12, and like I said, I had boobs at 9. They started growing, so like and I had the same issue. That's why I ended up having a hysterectomy, and I have facial hair, which you can't see.
Mhm.
I struggle with all that stuff too, but it causes you to be overdeveloped, and they put me on hormone therapy, replacement therapy or some shit when
Mhm.
I was really young because of my early puberty and all the bad symptoms I had to deal with, and that's no one's fault. Like, what the fuck? I mean, that dude is just uneducated. I'm sorry. People like that are just uneducated. That's all you can say.
he's ignorant. That's the word.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Ignorant.
yeah.
All right. And there was
That's pure
also
ignorance.
black men are hypersexualized as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know,
Oh
it's
yeah.
like, there's this thing where there's this image that's just a bad racist trope image of, the black man on the hunt. He's coming to get your white women.
Yeah, that was the
So
premise of King
crazy.
Kong.
Yeah.
You know, King
Which
Kong
is
wanted him
so
a white woman.
stupid. Because like, I mean, this is so stupid. It's so stupid because a lot of times it's white people like that shit. Let's keep it real. Like y'all, not y'all, but like a lot of white people want to sit there and say, "Oh my God, she has a big ass and his dick's huge," but you know damn well you trying to hop on that Becky. Let's keep it real. And then you want to make it out to be like you want to make it out to be like that guy that black guy was trying to rape you or come after you or some shit. Like you're just trying to hide that you was just trying to hop on that dick. Let's keep it real.
Yeah, and
Oh yeah.
the guys, a lot of times black guys are looked at as predators, you know.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Right. That was my
and that,
point.
yeah, and
You
that's
turn
on
him into
purpose.
a predator because you're attracted to him. That's what I was trying to say.
And
Yeah,
then
it's like
there's white men who get very self-conscious, and that's why, they're like, these black guys are coming into, in the, get to be with our white women because they're so endowed and all this, which I believe all of this is just
Yeah.
garbage. But I mean, but they have this, racist type of mentality,
Hmm.
yeah,
And
man, that's it's crazy. Like
I think it's
say,
just it's insecurity. It's insecurity because you know how guys measure their strength by how big their y'all know what y'all do. And I think it's just like I think it's just like some insecurity because men think they have to have a big, huge whatever. And I just wanted to put it out there, like not every woman. As a matter of fact, a lot of women aren't like that. Like if you're super well endowed and you're like just way too huge, I'm running from your ass. I don't even want
well,
that.
yeah,
I'm
but I
not.
can't I
I'm not
can't help it.
destroying my
I can't
insides.
help it, Sophia. I can't help it. Okay,
you
can't
know.
help.
No, I'm afraid. I don't want that. No, no, thanks. Like you can have that.
I was actually watching this video before I came on here of an old porn star from the 80s, and she was
That guy
telling.
with the mustache.
Well, no, it was a woman, but she was telling a
Oh, a
story about
woman.
the jobs that she did as a porn star, and they were asking her, and this was from a long time ago, but they were asking her about experiences she had that were not pleasant, being a porn star. And
Mm,
she said, yeah, the scene with John Holmes. Right?
oh
He
yeah,
was the guy who was supposed to have, this
the big
enormous member, right?
jank. He had a big
and
jank.
she looked back and said, I didn't like that.
He had a big old
Yeah.
junk.
And I think a lot of us feel that way. I think it's a very, I don't even know where that's coming from. That women like extra large guys and stuff. I don't know. Like I've never really heard that from women around me. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, we may not want a freaking toothpick, but at the same time, we don't want no huge
Well,
nothing. Like I don't
maybe.
know where that's
Well,
coming from.
well,
You want?
maybe that's Al's problem.
Well, to me, it's like, men. If
He,
you want
yeah, he probably got a crayon dick.
to, yeah, it's like if
Yeah,
you want to please your women, just listen, to them.
yeah,
Like,
Thank you, Caleb.
yeah. Kayla's
I
mature.
was trying to tell him that. Remember when I was telling him, I was like, Al, for once in your life,
Yeah,
listen to a
listen
woman.
to a woman. He kept saying, "Shut the fuck up, woman."
Shut the
Like,
fuck up, woman. You're a
yeah,
woman. Don't talk.
you do
Yeah, I,
realize you're
I
talking to a
sensed
man.
yeah.
I sensed last week that Al was anti-woman as well.
Yes, he
You
is.
Oh,
can
he
tell
is.
he's anti
He
everything other
is.
than what is hit, what he approves of.
Yeah,
So
and
he
he's also pro
is
Bible.
anti everything.
He's also very pro evangelical Christian fundamentalist, and yet he's an atheist. but I think he's lying. I think he just said that to kind of like fit into the, somewhere in our show or something
Yeah, he's
because
not
he,
an atheist. He identifies as Christian. Like I said, I
yep,
know L from years ago, and he's just your typical Christian Republican. And the whole thing, religion has a lot to do with that type of shit, with that type of mentality, because
right,
unfortunately in the black community you see the same thing,
yeah,
where men tell women to shut up and they shouldn't be saying anything, and all that kind of stuff. So that
homophobia,
has to
yeah,
do with religious indoctrination, I think, the most.
I
oh
think
yeah,
Yeah, the homophobia, all that stuff.
the worst
That's the religion.
thing about certain fundamentalist religions, you know, I'm thinking of white Christian nationalist fundamentalist types,
mm-hmm,
is that they look at the scriptures and use it as an excuse
Yeah.
to hold power over other people. I think that is the biggest danger in our country.
Yep.
You know,
Hmm.
so there's a certain type of
Yeah.
Christianity
And
that says a woman is below a
yeah,
man, and that's it.
and yep,
Nothing,
and one of the
nothing
biggest
else to
ways
talk about.
they try to exert that power is through abortion.
oh yeah,
Yeah, and keep holding women back. I mean, that's pretty much it.
Well, I mean, what was it?
Hold them down.
I think it wasn't federally outlawed marital rape until 1991 or 1990. It's like in the 90s where like it took that long
Oh
to
yeah.
federally outlaw marital rape. It's just crazy.
Well, I must say I remember I was an evangelical Christian, all right, for
mm-hmm,
much of my life,
Mm.
big portion, and literally I remember it being a discussion in groups, Christian groups, where men would meet and also women would meet separately, and the topic would be your body is not yours, it's owned by your husband,
mm-hmm,
you know. So like a woman was told she could never say no to her husband, you
mm-hmm,
know, which
yeah,
I think is awful. I mean,
oh,
Yeah.
it's horrible.
it's ridiculous.
It's that whole property, um, biblical.
Hmm.
Women were sold into marriage. You had to give the father what 50 shekels of silver
Yep.
for a virgin, and if she wasn't a virgin, you could either have her killed, or you had to pay the father had to pay the 50 shekels back and get his money back.
Or,
All of that stuff, man.
or that one insane law I read about where it's like if your husband's being attacked and you if you're the woman and you grab your attacker by the balls, you have to get your arm chopped off. I'm just like, what? That's
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a biblical thing.
yeah,
But
and it's
it's the taking of these ancient, you know, traditions and then bringing it to the modern world that is really so dangerous. You know, it's like I remember that discussion, and it was considered a good thing. Well, you as a woman, your husband owns your body. That was literally what was like a prominent view. That
oh
was a
yeah,
prominent thing that we believed.
yeah.
mm-hmm,
I think they believed similar in the JW world.
oh they
You
did,
know that
yeah,
that's the woman's body was not her own.
Yeah.
You
that's
know,
right, and your children as well, of course. They were gifts from Jehovah.
Yeah.
yeah, and the whole goal, like as a secular person now, the goal of raising a kid is to raise them to be an independent thinker.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is to raise them to be able to form their own personalities, their own way of thinking,
Yes.
and
question authority.
and to keep it where they become individuals, not just
Hmm.
robots.
Yep.
Yeah, so much for free will, right?
Yeah.
The free will argument goes out the window every time. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna get on off here. I gotta go get me a lunch, and try to recover here, get ready for work tomorrow. But man, it was a great conversation. Thanks for the participation. And again, guys, if you're new to the show or you're watching it, please like and subscribe. We're trying to build the channel out, man, and appeal to more people. But in the meantime, we're gonna call it quits, and we'll see you guys next week.
All right. Thanks, Scott.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks for
man.
having us on.
You got it, brother. Thank you so much. We'll see y'all.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.